What's up, guys? 3-in-1 here. This is the Renekton versus Aatrox matchup guide. If you just need the fast version because you're going into game right now, I recommend looking at the intro screen again, taking longsword 3-pot and ignite, as well as just checking out the timestamps of the level 1 and level 6. And good luck. For everyone else, welcome to the detailed Renekton versus Aatrox guide, where I will teach you everything you need to know to stomp this matchup. This supposedly easy matchup, this good matchup, but it's so hard. I don't understand. I'm so confused. Why is he one-shotting me? Why can't I kill him? I don't know. I'm here to explain it all. First, let's get started with some of the most important things in the matchup actually. So I have 4 points. One is to build damage. Aatrox is a drain tank. The less damage you do, the tankier he is. The more damage you do, the squishier he is. Number 2, start E with bone plating and longsword. Number 3, dash in on or before his Q1. Then it is very hard for him to play with you on top of him, especially if his E is down. Level 6 all-in is the last and most important point. Your level 6 all-in is OP. You stomp Aatrox at level 6. You have to use your E and W to be unkiteable, and I will show you how. But first, let's go over the runes. So you're going to take Conqueror. This is your most consistent rune. If you're going Bruiser build, you have to go Conqueror. If you're going full AD, you could go PTA or Electrocute if you want to. Triumph every time. Alacrity pretty much every time. Tenacity if you absolutely have to. I default to Last Stand. Coup de grace could potentially be better in this matchup. I should test it. Demolish, because we are going to demolish this guy in lane and demolish his tower. And bone plating, because it is shockingly OP versus Aatrox. Let me show you the first example. So we're going to see that Aatrox passive counts as 2 hits into bone plating. So bone plating gets procced with Q, and then the passive auto comes out and it blocks 2 hits. So the bonus damage from Aatrox passive auto is only doing 20 damage, so it blocks the whole 20 damage bonus as well as 30, and then another 30 damage from his Q2. 80 damage was just blocked level 1 from bone plating into Aatrox. I didn't realize it was so OP, but it is. So we're going to take that every single time. Let's go on to the build. So as I said, build damage, start with longsword refillable. Longsword health potion is what I recommend when you're starting out and you're getting comfortable. Until you consistently have a pot or 2 left over, just take longsword 3-pot. You can go Doran's Blade if I cannot convince you to the ways of longsword, or you need to buy this on your first base. Pickaxe is your best friend, your secret lover. You love this item with all your heart. It makes Renekton godlike if you get this on your first base and for your level 6 all-in. So sadly, longsword doesn't build, a second longsword doesn't build into Gore Drinker anymore because of Phage. This item is the devil. I hate you, Riot. And this is the devil's son, the Ruby Crystal Power Spike. If you do not have enough for pickaxe on your first buy, please buy longsword. Longsword plus Ruby is also good. Phage is absolutely horrible. Your 2 main items are going to be Gore Drinker and Eclipse. Now, Eclipse has more scaling damage over time. Gore Drinker has a bit more raw power when you first get it, as far as all-in goes, 1v2 and 2v2, and just team fights in general, than Eclipse does. Eclipse has, more raw damage, so you can kill someone faster, as well as more scaling damage. For Eclipse, you'll be going Eclipse, Blade of the Rune King Grudge pretty much every single time. For Gore Drinker, you will be going Cleaver or Shojin for your 1v1 after, depending on armor and stuff like that, and how much gold you have, whatever. Or you can skip if you are ahead in your 1v1. You don't need Cleaver or Shojin to continue 1v1ing Aatrox. Aatrox's 1v1 is kind of strong at 2 and 3 items. He scales into the game in his 1v1 quite well, so you might need these. But if you are ahead, I highly recommend going Sterix, even if it's not the most insane Therex Angle. This item is just so OP for team fighting and taking over the game and making early plays, especially if you get a really, really early Therex. But it could affect your 1v1. It's still good. The thing is, this item is still good for 1v1. It's just you might need one of these to keep up with Aatrox. And then all three of these items can be built in the 3rd and 4th slot. Death Stance is also an option. Not my favorite item right now. I'd recommend defaulting to Gore Drinker, Cleaver, and then Therex, and then either Gargoyle or Shojin. You could rush Shojin. I haven't tried it. Sounds good into Aatrox. I've only tried it versus Aurelia. It felt pretty good. Could rush Blade of the Rune King if you're about that life. Could go Stride if you're snowballing and it's just a Stride game. These are the boot options. This is going to be your simplest option, Plated Steel Caps. Your simplest option and most consistent. Swifties and CDR boots take a little bit more skill. I'd recommend CDR boots for most people, especially if you are about that life and you're going Blade of the Rune King. CDR boots are very, very good, especially versus Aatrox after one item. Most of the time, you guys are going to be playing off your 2nd round of cooldowns to get lethal on each other. No one's really dying in the 1st round of cooldowns. So CDR boots are really good for that. Swifties for the sticking power are very good into Aatrox, and if they are good into the rest of the team, I actually really like Swifties on Renekton right now. The sticking power is really good, especially with your ult damage, and just being able to barely catch people with the extra move speed, the extra 15 move speed, as well as faster rotations around the map. And I know we love builds. We're Renekton mains. Builds. What do I build? What's the best build? Build. But builds do not matter unless you are snowballing on Renekton. Because if you're not snowballing, you're not playing Renekton. You're playing something else, and it's not very useful. So let's get into the 1v1. You'll see I have Ignite, I have Longsword Refill, and I have Bone Plating and E-Start. So what's going to happen is he's going to start by auto-attacking me. They could also start by queuing. If they auto-attack you, starting with your auto onto them, you could auto a 2nd time if you want. Depends on how aggressive you want to be. You'll see it already blocked 30 damage from the 2nd part of his auto. And we're going to trade 2 autos and then jump out. I'm sorry, that sped up a little bit, so I'll go back. Sorry if that's confusing. But we're just going to trade 2 autos after, and we're going to jump out after his Q2. So be very careful about Eing out into his Q2. And then we'll see, the thing about this matchup is, one, Aatrox can never get pushed. His autos do very little to his Q does very little to minions, and he doesn't have AD. He has a D shield, and I have a longsword. So I ignite his passive here. That's something you can do. Good ignite timing to ignite his passive. I don't think it's worth it level 1 unless you're going to hit level 2 here and just flash on him. But the thing about this matchup is Aatrox Q cooldown is 2 seconds lower than your E cooldown, but it doesn't start until the last Q that he uses. Every Q he uses resets the cooldown, whereas Renekton E starts as soon as you use it. So your E cooldown ends up being up before his Q cooldown almost every single time. And this is something you'll see a lot. It looks like Aatrox inted, but you can bait them to do this very often. So you'll see I'm playing just outside of his Q1 range. And if he just lets Q go like this, that's fine. I'm hoping to, E and then W instantly before he can E away. Or what's going to happen is he's baited to try and hit his Q1, which is almost never worth it for Aatrox to use his E to hit his Q1, especially early. Now he's in range, and you'll see I W'd right away after. So he can't get his passive auto off because he is stunned, and he can't get his Q2 off. And then I auto and E out of his Q2 range. So stunning right after you dash in is actually very important a lot of the time. If they have passive auto up, it's very, very useful. You'll see now it's a free dive after these trades. We just flash in. Bone plating doesn't even matter. Easy kill. This is what you're looking for in this matchup. This is the live example. This was before I had bone plating, and you'll see I play this very different. I'm playing in my range creeps because I didn't know how OP bone plating was in a lot of my Aatrox matchups this split. It wasn't until recently that I've learned this. So some of my examples, I don't have bone plating, but how I'd play it without bone plating is to force him to auto me back in my wave, or just wait until the minions are dying. And then I'm more playing for my level 2. But neither of us have bone plating. He gets very chunked. The other thing is, like, some of these trades don't quite look as good as they are, but you have to see, like, in the last one is probably more obvious. Aatrox has a bigger health pool than I do because he started a Doran's item. So I'm actually up by 40 HP on Aatrox here, and I have more sustain with my 2 pots. So what happens here is he uses his he doesn't use any of his Qs here, correct? Yeah, he doesn't use his Qs here. So what I have to do is just stay back and get zoned by his Qs and just wait for his Qs to run out. And now this is very good for me because his Q is on cooldown for the next 14 seconds and my E is almost up and I can get to my level 2. So it looks like I don't really have push, but I have cooldown advantage. And this will happen a lot too, where his passive auto comes up right after the trade. Happens all the time. Aatrox passive is a 24-second cooldown. It goes down by 2 seconds each time he auto attacks you, or it hits a Q on you. If he hits the sweet spot, it goes down by 4 seconds. This is good movement. You can look at that again if you would like to. The movement around his Q1 and Q2 are very important. Q2, you can walk in on it a lot. It's very easy to bait them to E into you. This is a situation where I'm trying to play as aggressive as possible in Aatrox, trying to contest Q, and use my passive auto as soon as possible, use my Q autos as soon as possible, and we'll see it is just losing for Aatrox if he does that. If he has a Doran's Blade, it's still going to be losing. It doesn't really matter what he does. It might be losing at level 2 instead of level 1 if he has a D Blade. But it's very losing for Aatrox to play aggressive early, especially with Renekton taking bone plating. So same trade here. Well, actually, this trade is better because Aatrox is leading with his Q. So he activates my bone plating with his Q and only does 37 damage with it. And then, you know, passive auto into the Q. I auto again, I E out. So I'm down like 20 HP here, but I have more sustain. I have more damage with my longsword. It's a very good trade for me. These autos trading are super worth it again because I have 20 more AD than Aatrox does. Level 2 spike, you never saw it coming. Most players are not going to see this coming. So this is very, very important. This melee minion gives me level 2. I want to see which minion my minions are focusing as well and focus the same one to get it as fast as possible. But on wave 2, first melee minion gives you level 2. Only time when this is not true is when there are 2 extra casters left alive. So there are 5 total casters. There's only 1 here, so I will still get level 2. So I'm going to back up and I'm going to E through it. So OP to have level 1 E for this. To set this up, I'm going to E through it for my level 2, and I'm going to auto empower W, auto E, and then auto again. And we ignite his passive auto, we ignite his Q3. Only thing I want to show from this is I do my level 1 trade, and then Aatrox hasn't used his Q, so I just need to wait out his Qs. Aatrox could move all the way up here. He could move all the way up here and like be zoning me off with Q2. But the more time he spends, you know, using his Qs level 1, and it's 4 seconds in between them. So if you wait out 4 seconds, it'll be on cooldown. The longer he waits, the bigger cooldown advantage I have. So end up getting a big trade, and then level 2 spike again, easy kill. This guy, so this is a little bit of a higher level example. This guy is he's an Aatrox main in high elo. And we'll just see that it still goes pretty well. This guy, I'm not saying this guy did not play this that well, but no one is really used to the E start. What I'm trying to say is whether you're playing against a silver Aatrox or a masters Aatrox or GM Aatrox, it will look like this very often. So you think like, oh, you have level 2, like he's going to back all the way up. Nope, he is not used to this. He is not used to the kill threat I have. On him just going for a melee minion. You know, they're just really not used to it. It's super, super strong. I at the very least get his flash there. He would be 1 HP while I am very healthy. So here's a situation where it didn't go as well, and I want to show something. So in all those other examples, you can go back and watch them. I was hitting my second E out. In this example, you'll see I clicked here. I messed up my micro. I should have been walking here. I actually don't hit my E out, which is losing out on like 45 damage. I think I saw in other clips, which is a big deal because then I'm within you know, like 50 HP of him, and I'm popping my pot, and it enables me to play a lot more aggressive. I think this auto wasn't great since, you know, he has a creep advantage hitting me. But this is a challenger Colette player just playing Aatrox to help me out. So hit E1, that's awesome. Again, the micro, I'm moving into these creeps. I need to be moving to the left side of them, and then I could be on top of him, auto him a little bit earlier, E out, or step in and E out here. I end up eating that fadeaway auto. So not hitting my E out there is a big deal. You lose a lot of damage, especially with Empoweredy. It's a lot of damage. So here it gets a little weird. I go Q. I'm thinking maybe I can just 2-wave crash and try to do a wave pull, but now he has cooldown advantage. I'm just eating all of his Qs. So this is a great example of playing it pretty much as poorly as possible, not being patient around his Qs, and it still ends up going well. Even through his bone plating, he either has to flash there or he dies, which he is not expecting to die when I played it this poorly. But that's the thing, you have push on Renekton, you get to pump all your damage first because, you know, a flash W, so you get all your damage off first. Your damage is front loaded, so it ends up going very well for you, even in situations where it shouldn't necessarily. So this is just an example of the level 3 surprise. So sorry for skipping around. Here's what I do here. I walk up while he's still level 1 because I'm pushing quite hard. And I'm standing in front of the creeps, and I'm going to auto Q trade. So he thinks this is my trade. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up behind my creeps, play a little bit more passive. So the second melee in the third wave, in the cannon wave, will give you level 3. This is very important. So I space his Q, and then I keep walking backwards to try and bait him into me. And as his minion is dying, I'm going to level up through it with double dash. And then even though he eat away, I'm still in range. Power W, huge trade, ignite to set up the dive. And now, I do something a little bit cheeky here. This was not necessary. Still would have been able to dive. But it's kind of cool. So this turns into a very easy dive. You can get that surprise in level 2 or level 3. So now those are most of the level 1, level 2, level 3 examples. I'm going to go over a little bit more of what can go wrong later on in the video. Now let's get into some level 4 examples, you know, maybe with a slight lead or slightly behind. And then we'll get into some level 6 examples as well. So this is a situation where I'm coming back with a pickaxe buy. I got my kill. So instead of waiting for level 6 power spike, I can actually break this guy's push. I'm going to play it through and then I'll break it down. So Aatrox is not going to expect to die here. Aatrox's push is very strong. It's very hard to break it. But he is very far behind on items. So I'm able to make it happen. So the first thing I'm going to do when I come into lane is I'm going to wait for this wave to meet up with my wave. And then I'm going to, you know, trade cooldowns. His cooldowns are down now. I'm just going to dash his W. And then I'm going to try and trim the wave, get Fury, pop this guy's bone plating, and wait for my cooldowns to come back up. I messed up my W a little bit there. It doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to try to do is just play with my Q now. He doesn't have his W up here, so I can just walk in and Q. Walk in on his Q2. If you were walking away and they're out of range of Q2, they're going to E forward, and you will learn that timing to dodge it. And now he's off. He doesn't have any cooldowns, and my cooldowns are finally coming back up. So now is where I can flex the wallet. I got all of his cooldowns out. I got Fury. I trimmed the wave. Easy all in. This is very replicatable if you have an item lead. If not, it's hard to do. So this is another example of baiting most of these examples are baiting Aatrox to E forward. So the spacing is very important just outside of his Q1, or his Q2. And you could see I was walking backwards, and then I E in as he goes for it. Quick trade, ignite again to set up the dive. His passive auto, he had to wait to use it for the heal after ignite, so it's on cooldown for a while. And now he's scared here. I'm pressuring my Q, and then I'm just going to step back because he's trying to stop me from Qing him. And easy kill. Easy kill. This is another example of where I get to flex the wallet while I'm coming back into lane after killing Aatrox and then killing someone else and then dying. So you'll see I baited him to E forward again. Even if I didn't bait him to E forward, if he just Qs and then I E on it, I still have a good play. But because of that, I'm able to wait this long to E, dodge his Q1, and then stay on him and get an all-in because he E'd forward. This is an example of being in a rough spot. So I'm going to show some clips while I'm behind as well. So I'm 0-2 in this situation. I'm a little bit behind on items, but he is low from freezing after they killed me, and he hasn't bought yet. But then I take a very bad trade. But the thing about that, I got an auto there because he ran out of cooldowns, right? So I have to know to trade when he runs out of cooldowns. I can get my Q off. I'm popping my pots, so it's really not that bad for me. Now I have last stand damage, I have ignite, and I have fury. So this is actually, you know, a decent situation for me. Again, I step back before Eing in. That could go wrong. He could still E backwards like he might have been planning to do, and then his Q moves to here as I try to E, and it could get canceled, and that would be really tough. And then I'm going to stun right after I dash in instead of autoing, so he can't passive auto me. Empowered Q, bonus fury from being under 50% HP. It's very good. Another situation where I'm behind in items, rip Caulfields. I'm behind in items, and yeah, behind in items, I'm 0-2. This is a level 6 all-in situation though. Wave coming into me while I'm level 6. I have ignite up. This is perfect. Neither of us have flash, so we're gonna E in right away. I'm gonna Q right off cooldown to get it up as fast as possible. And then what we did is we just E out of his W. Now I could E up, I could E down, I could E forward is probably the most consistent here. I E up. He doesn't, you know, try to dash down and then ult away through river. So this ends up working out. And then we're just going to W to stay on top of him while he tries to kite away with his ult move speed. Then we get our second Q and he's dead. So this is another example of trying to stay on top. So I actually space his Q1 here. And then I just double dash in, and you see he can't reach his E backwards. He should actually save his E here. And then as he Q3s and tries to pull us back with W, we're going to stun him at the same time. And his E is down, so it's an easy kill. So while you're behind, like Aatrox, if Aatrox plays with his ulti move speed and his E's perfectly, and he's not, you know, using his E incorrectly at all, and he builds Tabby, it can be very difficult and he can kite you out. I don't think that's going to happen to you guys. I think you are okay to just send it every single time. It has happened to me a few times, but in the majority of even cases for me, the Aatrox player does not know to go Tabby, abuse R move speed, uses E perfectly, and then he will be able to space out my ulti. The majority of the time, I just come back from being 0-2. This is like 3 or 4 clips now where I've come back from being 0-2. Another situation, just slightly behind. This guy does not have Tabby. I take a bad trade here. So this is a bad trade, mainly because I'm low on HP and I don't have ulti yet, so I can't pressure all in. And when Aatrox hits level 7 and level 9, his damage goes up considerably, as well as his cooldown on his Q. So you should be careful here and play around your ulti a lot more. The other reason it's bad is because I'm just down on HP. I'm down on HP, and I can't really W here. If I W, it's like kind of awkward. I could W in this situation. I should have. I will lose my Fury and power Eing out, but it's like okay. The reason I say it's awkward for me to W here is because he shouldn't have actually E'd forward, you know. It's just another situation where I'm just barely out of it and then walk in. But if he saved his E, I don't have a trade here. Because this happens, I W, he saves Q2, and then I dash out. Then he can Q2E follow me, and then hit W and, like, you know, mess up my life. But it doesn't end up going that poorly. It's just not great. So I trade while he's on cooldown. Now the thing is, his Q cooldown is a lot lower than it was. It goes down by 2 per level. So going for this cannon was actually wrong. He messes up his flash, or else I'm like pretty close to dead. And this is the result of that play. Again, if you can bait these Q1 E forwards, it's so big, just standing just out of range and moving back. Now he doesn't have his E. I don't even play this perfectly, but we get empowered W. Super easy kill. So this is an example of me messing it up. So this is an example of me messing it up. I dash in and he W's me right away. So what I either need to do here is dash out of his W, or I need to ulti and power W him and stun him at the same time that this is pulling me back. Instead, I do neither, and then I use empowered E to just chase. When I'm still not in range, I should have just flash and power W'd, because I'm gonna send this no matter what. You see how chunked out he is? Like, your level 6 all-in is so strong. He just used all of his cooldowns. I'm gonna send it and set up this dive, especially while I'm snowballing. It's very, very important to abuse your ulti and set up your own dives as Renekton. And it's just an easy kill with empowered W because it's cool and fun and fair. So this is just so that's like most of the examples of how to build a lead on Aatrox and how to destroy him in lane, and like most of the opportunities that you have. Here are some examples of just messing some stuff up. So I was trying to do a wave pull. I think I need to auto this creep like right now as this melee is dying. It's hard because I crashed the wave a bit late. I have a whole video on this if you guys want to check it out. I don't have any good clips versus Aatrox of me actually doing the wave pull, even though it's very strong versus Aatrox to get the wave here, because then I can pressure him a lot harder. Instead, in this situation, you'll see he has his tower behind him, and he can dash back to it easily. So I should be more patient and let the wave probably come out to me in this situation. We'll see that I let him, I let him Q me here for this minion. I could dash there and we could trade dash cooldowns and I could dash out. And that's probably the best situation. Instead, his dash is still up. And I could dash in, but it feels a little risky in case he doesn't dash forward. We played this matchup a lot at this point, though, and I think he understood what I was trying to do a little better than I did. Then I tried to deny cannon, but I think this is a bad play because it ends up being a little bit awkward, and then I dash out. It's just really hard being in front of his tower. It feels like I can't dash in. But what I should do is I should just dash in and just trade the dash cooldowns so that I can freely hit the wave in front of tower. That's like the main mistake. He flashes forward, messes it up. We wait out his Q3. Didn't play this perfect, but nice little, get max damage off over flashing out. And here's the thing. I have lower cooldowns than he does. So it's just, he can't actually keep chasing because I have a lower E cooldown than his Q cooldown. So those are my examples, guys. Those are my examples. This is how to win the matchup. These are things that can go. This is actually another example of something that can go wrong. Never mind. Is just greeting for an extra auto on his W is like super bad. So right now I need to just E out. Instead I greed for an extra auto and it ends up going really bad. And I think I end up getting dove here. Really need to either E out during his W or empowered stun him. There's another situation where Renekton goes for the wave pull, and if Aatrox goes W level 2, keep in mind if your E is down on Renekton and Aatrox goes W level 2, it's pretty brutal. Most Aatroxes won't do that though. The other thing is if you're pushing an Aatrox like this, especially if he tries to trade with you, he's gonna miss so many CS. You can see Aatrox has 4 CS there. It's actually really hard to CS on Aatrox under tower, especially if your minions are like hitting the wave and you have a D shield and your Q just does not do that much damage to minions yet. Another situation where I try to go do the wave pull. I probably have too many clips of this, but I do get the wave pull, but it's like it's pretty hard to do. So this is a situation that I see a lot. So I just do this trade. He Q3's into me, he messes it up, I'm down to all in even if he hit it. So this is something I do a lot. I needed to W already because the problem is if I don't flash on him here, I don't feel like I have a big enough HP lead compared to what I should have had. I would probably still be fine, but if I do flash on him, I'm under his tower. So you really need to make sure you're Wing someone before they can flash under their tower. If you cannot follow them with your flash, it's very bad if they flash away. Creates a very bad situation. I think another thing, just a few more things. This is just going to be a couple clips. A few more things. Again, level 1, your E can get canceled by his Q1. So make sure you're Eing early enough. Don't E out into his Q2. If you just use your dash and his W is still up, if all of his cooldowns are still up, be very careful. Play behind your minions. It's very important. You saw in all those recent clips, like when Renekton doesn't have dash and Aatrox does have dash and has W and Q, it's very brutal to play against. So you need to be careful of that. Another thing is just don't face check Aatrox level 1. It's not as bad now that I run bone plating, but you still probably want to just save your bone plating for lane. It's kind of hard to face check Aatrox level 1. It's better to just, you know, leave everything towards lane and just start the lane in lane. But I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. I hope that was everything you guys need to demolish Aatrox players in lane and become a god at this matchup. Kill Aatrox's level 2, kill them level 4, kill them level 6, and keep snowballing the game. Until next time, guys, hopefully another guide coming soon, maybe versus Darius. People are interested in that one. But until next time, guys, I will catch you later.